Hi guys, welcome back to Step by Step with me, Shelby Church. Today we are doing an episode that I was very inspired to make by something one of my friends said. And I'm titling this one, You Have to Be Cringe to Be Successful, and really how to stop caring what people think and how to, stop letting what people think affect your actions more so, because I actually don't think that anyone truly stops caring what people think. But I do think it's possible to really not let it hold a lot of weight in your life, what people think, not let it stop you from doing the things that you want to do. And I feel like I've had a whole journey with this, just with YouTube, but also with even starting real estate and a podcast, just going a bit out of my comfort zone, doing things that kind of felt cringe at times. And I put off doing for quite a while because I was like, what are people going to think, And now I'm doing it. I'm going to talk about kind of how I have reframed my mindset so that I don't let what people think or what I think people are going to think, because that is a lot of times what it is. It's not even people saying things, actually. It's you assuming they are going to think and say things. Kind of how I stopped letting that affect what I actually do. And I think this is so important if you want to be successful. I'm going to really be talking about YouTube a lot and posting on social media, but this does really, you can apply this to any area of your life, to your career mainly. I feel like that's where people mostly kind of apply it, but even to hobbies, career changes, even to like personal style, I'll talk about a little bit. And yeah, also quickly touching on the last episode, I got some mixed feedback on that one. A lot of you guys liked it, a lot of you guys didn't. And honestly, I think it's just interesting to have the conversation. I think it's an interesting topic. I still believe what I said. Like, no one's comments changed my opinion, but I also don't judge anyone else's perspective. So if you guys want to check out that last episode, it's basically about what people call the bank of mom and dad, or the inheritocracy, inheriting money, basically. This whole idea that wealth inequality is getting greater and greater as generations go on, because it gets concentrated to just a few families rather than it being a real meritocracy. But if you want to watch more videos about that, Gary Stevenson, I would very much recommend. I've been obsessed with his videos. They're fascinating. Let's get into how to basically stop caring what people think as much as you can. Because again, I don't believe that anyone really just stops caring what people think. Like, if people say that, I almost think they care more than other people. They're like, I don't care what people think. I'm like, everyone cares a bit to an extent, and that's healthy. That's just a part of being a human. But you don't want to let that stop you from going after the things that you want to do. A lot of people, and this is what inspired me to make this. One of my tennis friends said to me, yeah, I thought about doing social media stuff back when I was in college, but it just felt so cringe, I just couldn't do it. And part of me was a little bit like, oh, so you think what I do is cringe? But not really. I don't actually think she thinks that, but I get it. I get it, because when you post just normally and then you go and start posting like you are kind of trying to be an influencer, you know what I mean? It does feel cringe. It feels cringe to yourself, and maybe other people will find it cringe too, but the fact of the matter is true for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It's always going to feel a little weird because it's an identity shift that people have to get used to, but you have to go through that period, that kind of awkward phase, to get to the point of being a legit influencer or a video creator on YouTube or whatever. So basically, yeah, my friend was saying that she just couldn't really get over the fact that it was cringe to start posting. And it really is for everyone pretty much. Maybe some people don't feel that way, but I felt kind of cringe posting when I very first started YouTube, which is why I just didn't tell anyone I started a YouTube channel. I just had fun with it, but I knew it was kind of cringy, so I didn't tell people about it. It just kind of got views eventually. But the thing is, there's this whole idea, I did not coin this term, but I heard it somewhere, I don't remember where, but it's this idea that you have to climb cringe mountain in order to get to where you want to be. And it's really true with a lot of things, not just YouTube, but starting a side hustle or a business. It can feel maybe cringe at first. Maybe your friends and family don't take it that seriously. Maybe they do, but I think for some people, they may not. You're starting small, that kind of thing. Starting a new hobby. When I started tennis, I was kind of cringe, going to a court and literally hitting the balls into the other people's courts. And it's embarrassing because they have to toss them back to you and they pretty much know you suck. So it's cringe at first. And I had to climb that cringe mountain. Lately, Recently, I've gone to a couple dance classes with one of my friends, and my God, is that a humbling experience. It's a heels class, but yeah, it feels kind of cringe because I just don't think I'm that good at it yet. But you just know that everyone who's there who is good, it's because they've been doing it for years. It's because they put in that time. And, you know, I've seen videos of people who were very cringe at dancing at first and then got a lot better. So it's really anything you want to do in your life. It's not just career or becoming an influencer, but that is one thing I just hear people say a lot is cringe, because it's very public. Like, it's very public to decide that you want to start posting like an influencer, and so people feel that it is kind of embarrassing at first or cringe or whatever. Okay, so let's talk about how to get over that mindset wise, and some just sort of like tactical things that you can do, or like practical, tactical, whatever. Actual tactics that you can use if you are kind of starting something, you really want to do something, but you're afraid, you're like embarrassed to start, or you think it's going to be cringy, but you really want to do it, because I feel like I've done this many times. I have some tips for you. Okay. So let's start with my YouTube journey. When I started that, like I said, really the first thing I did was I did not start by telling everyone. And I feel like people assume that you have to turn your current Instagram account into a full-on fashion blogger account, for example. And you don't have to do that. You can make a new account. You can start in a safe place where you feel okay being yourself. Because the thing is, Instagram now is so odd. It's like people who have followed you since you were in high school or for decades maybe, and you don't talk to you anymore, just like lurking. They may not even like your posts ever. So it just feels a little bit judgy, I think, is an experience that a lot of us have. Like, I feel like Instagram's a little weird. TikTok is a lot more welcoming, because it just feels like, people who are going to be interested in the content for the most part, although there's a lot of haters on TikTok too. But it's people who don't know you, so it feels a little bit safer. And I would say start somewhere where you're comfortable just being yourself and making the content you want to make. You don't have to take over your current account if that's what you're doing and start posting like an influencer all of a sudden. If you don't want to, if you do feel comfortable doing it and you want to send it, then do it. Screw it. Who cares what people think? We'll talk more about that later. But I think if you need to start in a more like safe environment, then make a new account, because that's what I did with YouTube. I didn't go posting on Facebook back in the day telling everyone to go subscribe. I just posted tutorials and people searched and found them. And that's what Monica and I both did. Because the truth is, like, if you want to become an influencer, you can start from zero. You can start by making searchable content, and the algorithms will pick it up eventually. It takes some time at the beginning, but they'll pick it up eventually, especially with TikTok and YouTube. Instagram is a little more difficult, but still possible if you're posting reels. Your people will find you that way. But you do kind of have to focus on like very searchable content. So you don't need to take over your current account. Okay. So that is one thing that I want to say. And again, you can relate this to anything. If you're starting a side hustle, Sarah Blakely very famously has said she didn't tell anyone her idea until she launched it, until she started it, because she didn't want people to get in her head about it, basically. And I think that can be smart. Just like, if people can help you, tell them about it. Like if it's a videographer or something, for example, or an editor, whatever. But you don't need to go and tell everyone and like your parents and your close friends, because, they may have judgment that's not going to be helpful. You can tell them once you've already launched it, once you're like owning it and being like, this is what I'm doing, because people will react very differently if you ask their opinion versus if you just do something and then, they're not, there's no room for them to be like, I don't think you should do that, because you're already doing it, So that's something that took me a while to learn, but yeah. Another thing is just, you need to have a growth mindset. I've talked about this before, but you need to know that you can get better at things, and everyone kind of sucks in the beginning. Like, I sucked at making videos at first, and they were super cringe. And the thing is, like, you're going to know it probably because you've been exposed to good quality content, or if you have a business, whatever it is, you're not quite there, because it's like there's this gap I've heard people talk about where you have good taste, but you don't know how to quite make things to that taste level yet. And the only way to get there is to just like keep trying to make cringe things until you get there. So you have to just know that that's how it is at first. That's how it is. Your first 10 videos are not going to be super good. Your first iteration of a product is not going to be the most beautiful, best version of it. And that is okay, because you can keep trying and making new videos or products or whatever that's better. So, it's just something to know. But if you have the mindset that you're like, well, my first video didn't go viral and I don't like how the lighting looked and whatever, and so I quit, then it's never gonna work. But you need to know that like you can get better, like you totally can, everyone can. And so that mindset is really important, because if you don't have it, then you're gonna give up like a lot easier, and it's just like not gonna be as fun as well. Quick break to thank Lume for sponsoring this episode. So Lume is a whole body deodorant. Unlike other deodorants, Lume is powered by mandelic acid, so it controls odor in a different way. It delivers a crazy 72-hour odor control. You can use it everywhere from your armpits to your feet, everywhere in between. It was actually created by an OBGYN, so it's really like for any part of your body, and they have over 300,000 5-star reviews. They have a solid deodorant stick. They also have a sweat control deodorant that is 72-hour odor control, and there's a spray deodorant, and this is the one that's aluminum free, and it's ideal for hard to reach places. So maybe if you're using this, and it's a whole body deodorant, if you're using it somewhere than like your armpits, for example, it's pH balanced to be safe for below the waist, and it's baking soda free and paraben free, which I love. And they have a bunch of different scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, toasted coconut, vanilla bliss. If you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now, you can find it in Walmart and Target right now, or you can go to lumedeodorant.com. They're offering 15% off all Lume products with this exclusive code. It's Shelby for 15% off. You go to lumedeodorant.com, that's Shelby is the code, and the website is LumeDeodorant.com. Also have it linked down below. So if you want to support my show and let them know that I sent you, and you want to smell better head to toe, go check it out. Quick break to thank ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. We've all been there. You know you need to see a doctor, but for whatever reason, you're putting it off. Maybe you're too busy. I know I've been like, oh, it'll heal on its own. But let's be honest, like a lot of times you just don't even know where to start. But with ZocDoc, there's no reason to wait anymore. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors and instantly book an appointment. You can filter doctors by who takes your insurance, are nearby, and are highly rated by verified patients. And the best part actually is that you can see actual appointment openings. So you don't have to call and find out. You can just see it on the website or the app. Some appointments are even available as soon as same day. So ZocDoc, it just makes booking an appointment with a doctor easier. So if you've been putting it off because you think it's going to be annoying to make the appointment, this is your sign to take care of yourself today. It's free to get started. Stop waiting. Go to ZocDoc.com/Shelby to find and book a top-rated doctor now. That's ZocDoc.com/Shelby. Next part really of climbing cringe mountain is for whatever your journey is working on your mindset. And this comes in really like two ways that I've done it. So for me, there are a couple things that I worked on. One was just valuing myself and what I want to do over other people's opinions, basically. And then the second was reframing my assumptions of what I thought people would think. So the first one really, you know, I even still experience this today. If I'm going to go film a video clip in public by myself, because sometimes I just really want a video clip somewhere, and I just think it will make the shot, it will make the video better, but it's so awkward to like set up a tripod in a park, and people are probably thinking like, what is this girl doing? You know, those are the thoughts that go through my head, whatever. But and there was a time where I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, that is way too cringe. Like, I'm not fucking doing that. But now I do it all the time. I've gotten myself to do it. And it's basically just having the mindset and like really going through in my head, like, why do I care what some random person thinks? Like, am I really going to let what someone thinks for 5 minutes, maybe 20 minutes max? They're going to forget about it. They're literally not going to remember. It's going to be just a fleeting thought in their head. They may see something, and I've even had people like take a photo while I was filming once because I was like sitting on my car. But I was with my friend Lauren, so it didn't feel as like, I didn't feel as self-conscious. But, you know, for them, it's just like a random thought. It really doesn't matter. And it would, in the past, stop me from getting that shot that I want to get, that shot that I really think will make the video better, or making maybe a whole video in general. Or, I mean, for a lot of people, it stops them from creating a YouTube channel altogether. And it's like, you're letting this random person who you don't know have this much control over your life. Like, this is a thought I've basically gone through, to the point where I'm not going to go get the shot that I want and it's going to make the video worse. Really? Like, you're gonna let that person have that control over your life? So once I think about it like that, I'm like, no. I value the video I'm making and the shot I want to get more than what some random people think of what I'm doing, because it doesn't matter, And when you think about it like that, it's like, this is more important to me. It's more important to get that video shot that I want, or to make that video I want, or to start a YouTube channel or whatever, than the importance of what random people think. And that's kind of the place you have to get to in your head to get yourself to do that thing. Because then it becomes a no-brainer, and it almost makes me a little mad. I'm like, why would I let that person who I don't know even have any control over my life? Like, that is just crazy. So that's kind of just one thing for filming in public that's helped, or posting. Even like if you post a reel on Instagram, for example, you may go through the same thing. What is so and so gonna think? Or like, maybe like, I don't know. I feel like that's sort of what holds people back, is not as much the random people with Instagram, but people that they know personally judging them. And it's like, same thing. You're going to let that person stop you from doing what you want to do, stop you from maybe having a career that would make you hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe take you on really cool trips, introduce you to cool people, like this whole life potential you don't even know. And you're going to let someone who you don't even really know if they're having that thought, by the way, stop you? Like, come on. You know what you need to do. You need to get over that. So that is kind of like the mindset that I get myself to be in, to get myself to do these things that I think are kind of cringe. And, even more recently for me, it's been with starting a podcast and starting real estate, because to me, I'm going to be real, starting real estate did feel kind of cringe, because there's a lot of real estate agents out there, and like, do we really need another one? And like, I kind of had to go in my head, like, it just feels weird to like post about it. Are people going to think like I'm not doing well with YouTube or something? Because I'm doing fine with YouTube. I just wanted to do this in addition. I'm actually doing better this year with YouTube so far than the last couple of years, but it does feel kind of cringe. And I think sometimes realtors can get like a bad reputation a little bit. Like it's a very forward facing job. You have to kind of sell yourself. Even though people are selling houses, they're kind of selling their services, and so realtors, some of them are slimy too. It's like, you don't want to have people associate you with that. And again, not all of them are, but it's like, some. And I feel like it's also associated with like having your name on a billboard, or like a bus stop. Yeah, I remember growing up and seeing realtors on like benches and stuff. And so I'm like, even that, it's like, in a way, that feels cringe to me. Like, to put my face on a bench like that, I'm not going to be doing that. But you know what? I bet the person who does that gets a lot of business. So good for them. And they're not afraid to do it, And so like, it just is holding me back probably, but that's not really my strategy. That's not really something I want to do. But even just, I never posted a feed post saying like, I'm a real estate agent now. I kind of soft launched it, and maybe I should. I just got a couple listings and started posting about that. But yeah, it was kind of weird for me to start that. And the way I got around that was just like really having something legitimate within it before posting about it. So for me, I didn't want to just post I'm a real estate agent and have sold no houses and have no listings. I had a listing out, so for me to post I'm a real estate agent, like, this is my listing, that to me felt like more legit. Although I don't even think you need to do that. I was just, I guess, extra self-conscious of this one. But again, this is one of those things where it's like, I felt kind of cringe, but I had to be like, you know what? Like, I think this is a fun career. I think I honestly do think I have really good insights to offer people, because I have bought and sold before. I've renovated a house. I look at the financial part of it more than probably most real estate agents do too. But yeah, I just kind of had to like hype myself up like that. It kind of brings me to another point where about like the first 10 times you do something, it'll feel weird, but then it will feel totally normal. So if you don't post on Instagram very often, or for me, I didn't post like real estate content very often, it felt weird and uncomfortable the first time. But then the second time it's a little less, and the third time it's a little less. And like eventually it just feels completely normal and you think nothing of it. Because I've talked to a lot of people who they just feel uncomfortable posting on Instagram at all. Like they just feel like it's awkward kind of, and like they're sort of afraid to. And I'm telling you, I used to feel that way too, even though I like had followers and stuff. But like years ago, I just didn't post very much. But then I just kind of got myself to post. And once I did, it just felt normal. It didn't feel weird. Like the more you do something, the less uncomfortable it is, of course, and the less weird or cringe it feels, and like you just start to have more fun with it. So I think that's true for anything. You just get more comfortable with it. So that's part of it too, is like you get better at it, but you also get more comfortable with it. So whatever it is that you are kind of aspiring to do. So for me, like I said, the podcast too, I haven't promoted it that much outside of this channel and my vlog channel, and a little bit on Instagram so far, but not a lot, because I do feel a little bit like I want it to be more legit before I start posting clips on Instagram. Like I want to be in a studio more, but I think I want to be in a different studio than that one that I shot the podcast episode with Humphrey, because the aesthetic just wasn't quite my vibe. I think I want just next when I move and I can set up an area for that. So I know it's a silly thing and I should just post already, but it's just one of those things. Like, I know I don't need to like wait, but I need to go in my own head and be like, really, you're gonna let what you think people think of the background really like stop you from posting? And I know that, but for this I am just waiting a little bit, because I think I will have the new setup soon and have more people to interview soon. And I kind of just wanted to get all the cringiness out now, because I haven't even done 10 episodes yet. And so of course it's going to be not the best yet. And I think, you know, by like the 20th, like really hit my stride and like that kind of thing. So I think that's okay to kind of like lay low with this and then like hard launch it a little more later. So that's how I'm approaching the podcast. That's kind of more my style with things. So another thing that you need to do, like I said earlier, is reframe your assumptions. So I had a lot of assumptions, especially when filming in public. I just assume people are going to think something negative, like, oh, that's weird, what is she doing, that kind of thing. When, you know, you got to challenge that and be like, is that really what people are thinking? Like, sure, maybe some of them, but not all of them. Because I'll have people just ask me what I'm doing just out of curiosity, and it's not in a judgmental way, and they actually think it's cool. Or like, it'll be someone who is a subscriber and like they're not judging me, they're like, they get it, you know. Or it is someone who is familiar with YouTube and like maybe wants to start filming, and they ask what camera I'm using. Like it's just not always people being judgy. Like, sure, some of them, but again, who cares? Not gonna let that stop me from getting the shot I want or doing the video or thing I want to do, because I'm like, I just choose not to value that. But that's the thing, is you have to remember that your assumptions might be more negative than what the reality is, because that's what it was for me. And same thing with posting, not just filming in public, but I have like a little anecdote for this. I went to my 10-year high school reunion like last summer, which by the way, I was like not really planning on going to, but my friend was like, let's all go. So we're like, okay. And yeah, so it was like kind of fun, I guess. But I'm like, I feel so like out of that world that I did not care that much. Anyway, so it was pretty fun. But I remember this one girl, she came up to me, and I think Monica too, my sister Monica, if you guys don't know her. And I remember her from high school because we had like some mutual friends, but we were never really like that good of friends. But I always thought like, oh, she's pretty cool, you know. And she was like, oh, I just want to say like, I'm so proud of what you and Monica have done. Like, I'm rooting for you guys, stuff like that. And I was like, wow, that's so unexpectedly nice. Like, I don't know. You don't know what people are thinking. I feel like some people are more judgy about it, but I was like, you never know. Like, some people really are rooting for you, and you never know who it is, because I would not have expected that. I've noticed that it's generally the people who are already successful that are less judgy about people starting things. Like, someone who has a really successful podcast is not going to be like judging me for starting one. I'm not going to be judging someone for starting YouTube. I'm sure as hell not going to be judging someone for starting tennis, because I only recently started like two-ish years ago, a year and a half ago. And while I do feel like I've gotten a lot better and I feel pretty confident as a tennis player now, I'm not going to judge someone who started because I recently did that journey, you know, and like it makes me excited that people start. I'm not going to judge someone that's starting YouTube because I know how hard it is. You'll just find that the people who are like actually successful are not going to be mean to you about it generally. Maybe a couple of them. They can never generalize completely. Like, yeah, sure, there might be some people, but for the most part, they won't be. It's going to be the people who are jealous that you're doing the thing and they want to do it, but they're too scared. Those are going to be the people, of course, it's so cliche, but it's so true. Those are going to be the people who make weird little comments, little backhanded comments. They don't have to be like outright super mean, but like, you know, I've experienced this. People just making little comments and you hear it and you're like, okay, noted. It's the people who they want to be doing that too, and they probably resent you because they don't have the guts to do it, and they're like mad that you're doing it, that you're going after it. So you don't need to worry about those people. You know, it can be a little annoying though. Like I had this one girl basically say, who I was like friends with kind of at the time too in a friend group, she was like, wow, I can't believe you have so many followers. Like the tone in which she said it was very much like, I can't believe you of all people. And it was like, she definitely was only looking at Instagram and not like YouTube. And I'm like, really? Because I've been posting for, you know, like 10 plus years, and I think my videos are pretty good. So I don't know why that would be so hard to believe. That's like my perspective. But she probably just saw my Instagram and was like, oh, like my Instagram, I really am just like a normal person. I'm not like some supermodel or have like a really cool house or whatever. So I could kind of get why somebody would say that. But also I'm just like, you don't have to be a bitch, you know? I just think it's funny. This same girl like does try and post like an influencer and like kind of isn't really one, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying like that's probably why she made that comment, is because like at the time she wasn't posting like an influencer, but now she posts a little bit more like that. So maybe she wanted to go harder with it, like really like send it and try and be an influencer, but wasn't. And so, you know, they take it out on you pretty much. I have a friend actually who I've been friends with for a really long time, since high school, who we're not like as close anymore because, you know, she lives in Seattle and she has 2 kids now, but like I feel like we'll just always be friends, right? And she recently started a food TikTok and Instagram account making food for her kids. And I was like, that's so cool that she's doing it. I feel like she's wanted to do that for so long. So I'm always like liking the posts and being supportive. I feel like I try to like comment on them and stuff. And I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's so hard in the beginning, where I could see how, you know, maybe some people wouldn't stick with it or wouldn't do it. I think it's cool that she's starting it. Like that's just my perspective. Whenever I see someone I know start to post like that, I'm like, you know, everyone has something to share and offer and some value. I feel like other times people will feel maybe a little bit cringe or like they care what people think is if they change their personal style, or, you know, they kind of rebrand themselves. You know, I've had some friends do this, and I feel like I've subtly tried to dress a little nicer, but not really that much. But, you know, maybe that can feel a little bit weird if you go into work and people are used to you looking a certain way, and maybe you decide like, I want to dress more preppy now or whatever, like, or like you want to dress nicer, like you want to dress up more. That can feel weird at first, even though no one really cares what anyone else is wearing, you know. But like I felt a little weird wearing more like professional looking clothing for real estate, and wearing not sneakers but just little kitten heels because they're more comfortable. I would wear heels, but like they just hurt too much. To me it felt weird. I would like go to these appointments and be like, do I look like I'm pretending to be a real estate agent? Like it feels like a little imposter syndrome at first. But with that, you just have to remember no one really cares that much, and it just takes like a couple months for people to get used to something. Like if you want to rebrand your whole life and switch up your style, it's just going to be weird for like a month or two, and then people will get used to it. That's what you have to know. And then it's like probably easier to get through that. Like if I wanted to start dressing like super, like what would be a style that I would just never dress? If I was dressing in like really like this grunge streetwear, personally, that's not my vibe. But if I started doing that, my friends would probably be like, what are you doing at first? But if I really wanted to do that, like eventually people would be like, oh, that's just your style, you know? And so even with things like your personal style, like whatever you like, whether you want to dress up more or just dress differently, it can feel like a little try hard at first or whatever. What helps, I found, is just wear the outfits that you want to wear, like literally at home. Like if I want to start wearing like dresses more and I feel like a little weird being more overdressed, just wear them literally like hanging out at home. It will start to just feel really normal and like the default thing. So if I have an outfit that I feel like is kind of bold and I'm nervous to wear, I'll just do that. I'll wear it like one time, just running errands and just being like, yeah, this is just like normal. And it helps. And you're just like, you don't feel weird when you're wearing it. You don't feel like, is this like too bold? Am I too dressed up? You just feel like, oh, this is normal. And I also think you don't need to, like, I've talked about this before, ask for everyone's opinion on things, because I think it's important to just value your own opinion over other people's when it comes to small things like this. Like, again, good to have maybe a second opinion if you need it on big life decisions, but on small things like what you're going to wear, what you're going to make your Instagram caption, what photo you're going to post, like, don't ask other people's opinion. I'm just going to say it. Like, I just don't anymore. I don't do that. I stopped doing that because, one, people don't really care. It's sort of annoying. Like, if I have a friend who's like asking which photo is better, I'm like, I don't care, you know, but like, I'll help them, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. And I feel like you just need to like go with what you want to do, you know? Maybe I get it if you're not sure what the occasion is in terms of outfits. Like if you need to gauge the dressiness level, that's one thing. But if you're like, you can never decide which outfit is better and they're pretty similar, it's like you just need to start deciding. This is kind of a tangent, but I think it's important when it comes to like not caring what people think, is just deciding to value your own opinion more than others, and like deciding like if someone doesn't like your outfit, does it really matter because you like it? I don't care really if someone doesn't like it as much as I do, because I'm the one wearing it, you know? It's kind of a muscle. It takes a little bit of not practice, but just doing it a few times to get really comfortable with that. But I think that can really help when it comes to caring what people think, is just deciding that you are going to decide and not have a bunch of outside opinions. So when it comes to personal style, when it comes to hobbies, what you're going to do, where you're going to live, all that stuff, like really just try to decide on your own as much as you can. But I think for big life decisions, like you really need like a sounding board. That's okay, you know, to have a trusted opinion. But again, don't go asking everyone. Like I used to do that, just like ask everyone their opinion on things, and it's like exhausting and confusing and like make me feel more insecure. It did not make me feel like better about the decision at all. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. The last thing I want to touch on when it comes to like being cringe online and not caring what people think is vulnerability, because it can be hard to be vulnerable online. It can feel like embarrassing and probably the most cringe thing you can do. Like if you show yourself crying online, or you talk about something important to you, like people on YouTube will talk about, or TikTok, they'll talk about heartbreak. They'll talk about, like I vlogged my whole jaw surgery. I've talked about my finances. I've been very open about certain things. I don't think you need to be open about everything. You can draw the line at where you feel comfortable. But if you are comfortable being vulnerable and opening up about something, I think there's a lot of value in that, because it's just this authenticity. It makes you a real person. And it's also just really helpful for other people. Like it genuinely is. I remember when I was going to have jaw surgery, I was so grateful to find other people who had vlogged it, even though it's like kind of disgusting and like really you're putting yourself out there at your worst kind of. It helped me a lot to not be afraid of it. And so that is why I decided to vlog mine, is I knew like it would help other people to show my experience, because it's like a very scary thing. And so, yeah, and the people that resonate with it or have to get that surgery, they just so connect with you. So when you're vulnerable online, yes, you open yourself up to judgment, but you also, people don't talk about this, you open yourself up to much deeper connection with people. And yeah, it's like parasocial, I guess, but you know, sometimes people might reach out that you know, and that you just didn't know had gone through a similar thing. Or people that maybe like as a YouTuber, there's people I follow who I didn't realize had seen my videos, and they may, you know, resonate with something I say. So I think there's a lot of power to, if you're comfortable with it, not caring what people think and saying the thing, like putting the long Instagram caption, like kind of like speaking from the heart, not just saying generic stuff all the time, because there's so much like of that now, especially with AI, that I think people really want more authenticity and vulnerability. And like, that's why I like podcasts personally too. I know that can be like probably the scariest thing when it comes to posting. You know, maybe posting yourself without makeup, or posting like the more personal things happening in your life. But if you are comfortable with it, like the struggles, I feel like people are rewarded when they are vulnerable, both online and in person. Like think about when you're vulnerable with your friends or family, and it's like you just are able to connect with your friends and stuff more than if you're more surface level. Like you're rewarded both online and offline for that. But again, you don't need to like cross your boundaries and like say everything ever. I feel like it's totally fine to draw a line at certain places, but when it feels right and when you want to share a little more, I feel like that's a great thing to do. And I try and do that when I'm comfortable with it. So that's just a little, I guess, tip with social media, because vulnerability, authenticity, storytelling, all of that, like people really like that. But also just a little encouragement to not be afraid to do it. Because yeah, it can feel cringe to be more personal online, but I'm telling you, that is like usually the stuff that matters to people and that helps people. Like, I don't know, people that talk about their heartbreak, like, you know, other people going through that, it's helpful to them. People that talk about, like, sometimes I'll watch people's videos that they talk about their divorce, even though I'm like nowhere near anything like that. I kind of just think it's interesting, but I very much appreciate the vulnerability of people share kind of what went wrong and what they wish they knew. And it's interesting to me, but it's also like, I'm sure super helpful for people also going through that. So just saying, it can be very helpful to people and rewarding for you when you're comfortable with it. So that's really like what I have to say about climbing Cringe Mountain and not caring what people think. It really just comes down to valuing your life, yourself, what you want, more than valuing what other people are going to think, whether you know them or not, whether they're even having those thoughts or not, because a lot of people are probably not even thinking about it that much. They're probably literally not thinking about it at all, most people. And if they do, it's only for a second if they think something negative. And other people, are going to be positive and supportive, and you'll be surprised by that. So I think a lot of people just expect judgment. You'll be surprised to see like who is supportive, and that's very heartwarming. So that is really, I think, how I have stopped caring as much what people think. Again, never 100%, because I feel like if you stopped caring 100% what people thought, like wouldn't that be like a narcissistic personality, just like really selfish? And I think it's good to care a little bit what people think and have consideration for people, and that's being a human. But don't let judgment of other people, whether it's real or not, take over your life in a way where you're not going to go after the things that you want to do, whether they're big career changes or just small hobbies like playing tennis. For me, like, yes, I got a lot of hate comments at first, but I've gotten so much out of tennis. Like, it's brought so much joy into my life, like biggest quality of life boost of the last 2 years for sure. Made so many great friends through it. Like, I can't even imagine if I started playing, not to be dramatic, but like, I can't imagine, because I just love it so much. And the people I've met through it and the whole like community in general. I can't imagine if I like seriously took people's comments to heart that were like rude about it. That would be sad. I don't want anyone to do that. So just a little encouragement for you guys. Go climb Cringe Mountain. It won't feel cringe forever. You don't have to go like posting on your main account. If you're drawn towards posting on social media something or a career change, but you feel like it's cringe, like, feel like you got to get over that. You got to get over that, because the other side's probably so much better. That is going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I would love to hear your comments on this topic. If you have felt cringe doing something, or how you like get over that mindset for yourself, comment down below, any tips you have for people, or even me, because sometimes I still feel cringe with the podcast and with Real Stakes. I'm still like newer at that stuff. But yeah, hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm looking forward to reading the comments on this one. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple and Spotify, by the way, if you prefer to listen there. This does go out on Apple and Spotify, so I'll link it down below. Go follow it, rate me 5 stars if you enjoy, and that is going to be the episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.